Okay, I think we're set. Thank you everybody for joining us today. We do Cafe 42, it's on the third Thursday of every month. That being said, I think for August, since that's pretty much fair season, we will not be doing an August session. We recently had a meeting with Adam, Shanna, and the 4-H Online team. So your reps for 4-H Online in the Eastern District is Lisa Barfus. For Southern District 2, it's Michelle Tate. For the Northern District, it's Charla Wilson. And for District 3, that's Teresa Taverdi. But we kind of brainstormed some topics to where we can put a queue or a pipeline, so that way we keep that information system kind of, we touch bases in a timely fashion, just as a reminder on different things. So one of the things, or a couple of things I'm going to talk about today is a little bit about events and then the reporting. All of the Cafe 42 sessions are recorded. Those are posted on the staff help sheets page. That being said, there has been some increasing functionality issues with the WordPress site. So I'm motivated to get that changed over to Sitecore. If you do click on that link and it doesn't work, send me a heads up. I've been working with Adam to try to keep that going, but that is something I can't just fix myself. We have discussed at this point I don't have specific dates, but some localized district trainings will be happening. It's just a matter of getting that worked out with you all at your respective districts and working with the 4-H Online team. A big piece with the reporting is to do that now and not wait. I spent the better part of 5 weeks, 6 weeks chasing ES 237 numbers this last spring. So, and there's a multitude of factors that go into that, and it's really important that we are capturing our youth programming numbers. A piece that we had identified in our conversation is the need to do some training with regard to this, and I'll be working on that. But the numbers that are reported into CAL's plan do not come over to 4-H Online. And so those are separate reporting systems, but it's really critical that we do have numbers for our youth programs captured in 4-H Online, because that is reported to USDA NIFA. And I found that, especially when I was reporting, nobody likes to do that, but it is much easier to do it as you're going through your year versus stockpiling all your documents and entering it in the later part of September. Ideally, if we could aim for having our CAL's plan data or our 4-H Online data, particularly group enrollments in the system by mid-September, like the 16th, that would be great. That gives me time to look at that and to evaluate it, so that when it's time to submit that, which does happen electronically, then we're ready to go. And then there's not any questions, and I'm not having to try to find 20,000 youth participants. And that makes things a little bit easier for everybody. Very good question, Michelle. The Enroll Idaho numbers, yes, you can add that. If your site hosted in an Enroll Idaho event, that would be a great example of something to add in as a group enrollment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple pieces and then kind of walk through the steps of doing the group enrollment. So that way, if you talk to your colleagues or folks that were not on today's session, let them know that this has been recorded and this is out there. One of the big pieces that I'm going to be working on is something specific to the group enrollment and that process. So it'll be more like a share screen, little tutorial, and I hope to keep that very short and sweet. But that will be posted to the site as well, and as soon as I have that ready, I will also share that link on the 4-H listserv. There's a couple key pieces. First thing is the paperwork. You're going to want to have a sign-in sheet. It's a good idea to have a sign-in sheet. That way, if you have non-4-H participants, you can keep their information as a contact. So if there's future events or programming with something that might be of interest to them, or give them a heads up on their enrollment, your enrollment open house if you hold one for the next year, that's a way of kind of that in-house recruitment. A key piece on the paperwork side of it is you're going to want to capture your head count. You're going to capture your 4-H participants, non-4-H participants. You also need to do gender and grade. So it's important to have those things put to paper and not try to think about that once your event is already done. So I'm going to do a share screen, and I will show you on the staff help sheets page where this information is housed. So the staff help sheets URL is web.cals.uidaho.edu/4 reporting /staff and -help sheets. This is pretty much your one-stop shopping. If there are items, as always, that you're not seeing on this page, let me know. But where the reporting pieces are is in the reporting guidelines section. I'm not going to go much into the reporting guidelines, but that document really kind of helps delineate in your programming what should be reported in a group enrollment, what would not. Maureen Toomey and Nancy Shelstead helped with the creation of that, and it's a very useful guide. If you have questions about the ES 237 definitions, that's listed here. Also grade residence definitions. But the piece that you're looking for the paperwork side of it is this group enrollment youth and adult document. So it is in a Word document, so you guys can download this and update it to fit your needs. But I have created a box in here where you can mark off if it's been entered into 4-H Online and if it's been entered in CALS Plan. Caveat with CALS Plan is our figures that are added into CALS Plan, or reported into CALS Plan, I should say, tie into the plan of work. And if you're an extension educator, or if you have programming within 4-H, it's important that we do report to both systems. This process really is not as difficult. There is a rumor that going around that it is hard to do this reporting in 4-H Online. It is not. A big piece of that is capturing your elements in your documentation, and this pretty much is exactly what you're going to see on the screen, or is the line of questioning. You're going to have your program name, location, the date, what your delivery mode was, number of contact hours, and the projects that would be tied to that. Then you get into your gender distribution, residence distribution, your grade distribution, and then your race distribution, totals without duplicates. And what is considered a duplicate in 4-H Online, duplicates are your traditional paid 4-H members. So if you have participants, you have a pool that are definitely 4-H members, and perhaps you have new kids, everyone gets counted into your total head count, but what you're going to be fleshing out as far as the numbers that are getting reported in your group enrollment are going to be those new contacts. And this will make a little bit sense here once we get into the screen and I show you how that looks. So you have your youth participant piece. Then you also have volunteers, and this would be new volunteers. So if you have new people that are volunteering at your event, be it adult or youth, then you're basically capturing the same piece. With their racial groups, then it goes into the classification, whether they're direct volunteer, indirect, adult, and youth, and if any training at all was held during that event. Then we get into the actual part of doing the group enrollment. So I'm going to go into the demo county. And where you access your group enrollment at the county level off of your dashboard, you're going to want to click on the enrollment tab all the way to the far right here. Right next to reports, you'll see group enrollment. In this little gray line below it, you simply click Add Group Enrollment. And it's basically a three-step process. So we have a program name we need to enter in. So we are doing Bonner County Adventure Type. We did a little program today. 4-H year, it defaults to the current 4-H year. And from this drop-down menu, if there's like a camp or if there's a particular group that you did this with, or let's say you maybe did a special day event with a club, you can make that link. Or you can put, let's say we did it with the demo county part of the team. Well, no, that's not a good example. It's just a camp that we did for youth. And when you get to your delivery modes, special interest, short-term program, overnight camping, day camping, school enrichment, individual study, mentoring, after-school programs, TV and video, not connected with a youth group, or it's an administrative organizational unit. So we're going to call it is a day camp. And Betty presented this at the Bonner County Fairgrounds. It does ask for the zip code. All these fields that are in bold are required. You can't continue because it'll give you a bunch of errors. Well, I misspoke. It just deleted me out of there. Oh. So we enter in our information, your number of contact hours. You can select from the drop-down menu the type of project that it would be tied to. This is just content to make that connection with, all right, what was covered at this event. And since it was an adventure camp, let's say we talked a little bit about survival. And then, I don't know if it'll let me. Oh, one project. Oh, I did it. So once you enter in the first pieces about your program, then you get into the paperwork side of things. Again, gender duplicates are current 4-H participants. Your total count with duplicates included, 20, 10 of which were duplicate. And we had 20 females, 10 of which, so we have 20 new contacts. Our total head count for the event was 40. Just for number's sake, we have 20 new participants. When we get into the racial distribution, your left column is Hispanic ethnicity, the right column is non-Hispanic. So we're going to go 5 and 15. One thing about this document, these totals have to match. If you don't have the total being 20 in this example, you will get errors. Let's see, Sandpoint is a town. They're all part of that. And let's say we did it with Cloverbud, so let's see what we had. Five. Oh. So once you've entered in basically your grades, and this can all come right off of your sheet that you have, you can click continue. And then it takes you into your volunteer distribution. Let's say we had two new volunteers, one adult, non-Hispanic. Let's say we had one Hispanic youth for a total of 2. And they were both indirect. One was male, one was female. And, the adult was male, the youth was female. And we talked about leadership. And then, so that's it. That's all you had to do your reporting. It's those 3 simple steps. And then when you get done, you can click this little box, submit form. The thing about submit form is, although it's submitting it, you can come back and edit this at any point in time. You do want to click save, and I don't know why it didn't save that. On my search field, there we go. All right, scared me for a second. So it's very simple. Like I said, I will make a very detailed video, kind of walk through how to go through that, and hopefully I can get that taken care of here shortly for everybody. Any questions on that? Okay, and Michelle, I see in the chat box. Let's see here. Let me go back in. So for the Enroll Idaho program, there was a question as far as what kind of delivery mode would that fall in under. I think that would be actually a good 4-H special interest or short-term program. Let's see. It's not a day camp. It's not an overnight camp. It doesn't really fall under the moniker of school enrichment. I would put it under a 4-H special interest program. Okay. Any other questions on the group enrollment piece?
So just a quick question to follow up. So what club/group and what project do you want it under?
Okay, so Enroll Idaho, there is a generic statewide event, and it was a statewide event. So that would fall for that. And then for the projects, let's see here. Enroll Idaho. We do have a generic leadership category. Could fall under workforce development. Any ideas or suggestions? Did you have a category you were thinking about?
No, not really. That's why we were asking, because we weren't sure.
You know, just for consistency's sake, let me Let me double check with Jim on how he'd like that, or what his preference would be on that. Because that will definitely add a spike into that other, either project area. I think the workforce development would be a really good one. Either that or, let's see, Enroll Idaho, could we put a generic category in there for higher learning? I mean, technically that's what it is.
Right.
Or school, post-secondary school opportunities, but that gets a little verbose. Let me visit on that.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Might be a good one to email out to everyone so everybody does it the same.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any other questions on the reporting piece? Okay. The other item that I had for today is event setup. It seems there's a lot of events that are occurring or starting to occur, and perhaps some are, have been already in existence, but there's a lot more partnership between counties, a lot more opportunities for youth to engage in a broader level outside of their community. That being said, there's definitely a benefit for doing some of your events to where you have folks registered through 4-H Online. The benefits of that would be you would be able to get member health information. You're going to be able to get the authorization information, insurance information, or at least identify if parents have reported in any insurance documents. If not, then that's going to be a follow-up piece for you, because you'll want to get that information before you do your event. But with the help of your 4-H Online contacts, and I would suggest doing that for the first couple of events just so you get used to how it's set up, and help out with that registration process. If you're having a large event, it's definitely something to consider. It's not a requirement, but there is the ability to do event registration in 4-H Online. And there's a couple of things that you'll want to do. First part, you want to make sure you do this in a timely manner to where you can test it. I don't recommend, there's not a quick turnaround on that. So if your event is small, then perhaps paper enrollment or an easier process might work better for you. But if you've got multi-county folks engaging into an event, take that extra time and build it, and you can do a plethora of different things with this. But on your events tab, you have a bunch of, you have your own dashboard for this. The search will give you the ability to search for events. You can search for registrations, be it youth or adult. Your confirm registrations is the area you go to confirm, yes, these people can participate in this particular event. This middle, or this third icon here, is where you actually go in to create your event. Your locations, you can update this to where your events will be held. That's a good pre-step to do before you create your event, so you don't have to bounce around and go back and do that. With the events that I've created thus far, calendar doesn't really work. Everybody's got their own calendar. We do report to a separate calendar within Extension, so that I really haven't utilized much in the views. Reports, the reports icon in events is where you actually develop and you can get event-specific reports. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. But to add an event, it's just, part of it is looking at your enrollment paperwork for the event. You don't have to ask for their name. You don't have to ask for their address, emergency contact information. Those are elements we're already capturing. One thing we are adding in to our event registrations, like for team conference and KYG, is all the information that you reported, or has there been any changes, like in health status, you know, a simple yes or no. That tells us, okay, the health information that was reported perhaps in October hasn't changed. We're good to go on that. Another one is my t-shirt size correct? People bounce through that question, they don't read. And so they get a little upset when they get a youth small shirt and they should be an adult large. That's what they have in their in 4-H Online. Those are the shirts that end up getting ordered. And so adding some of those different Q&A boxes are good. If you're going to be working with teens, get their cell phone and email address information. A lot of youth are probably not enrolling in the system or working in their own individual records. Their parents are doing that. And it's kind of hit and miss as to whether or not we are getting their accurate contact information. It becomes an issue when you can't find that child, or if you need to get a hold of them and say, hey, where are you at? You know, those types are the questions that you may want to consider putting in your registration. Again, for this, fields that are in bold are required, and it defaults to standard type of event, defaults calendar. But we're gonna do call it a Demo County Day Camp. In your general settings, you can set a variety of options on here. Final approval by members unit, so gives other counties and districts final approval. You can do hierarchy restriction. You can restrict by county. So we have all these counties you can choose from, but if it's just for your county and another county, you can set that as well. If it's everybody, then you check unrestricted. You can restrict by project selection. So like if you were going to do a livestock day camp, then you could say, okay, members who are enrolled in beef, sheep, swine, and goat, you could filter it that way, or maybe you're doing a small livestock project, or small animals. You could do poultry, rabbits. So there's a lot of different options. You can also do restriction by school grade. That gets a little touchy because if you have children that are cusp on their age, that has proven to be a little problematic. So if there's a way, if it needs to be restricted, to maybe do it a different way versus doing it by grade, that's a good way to go. Although team conference, we do 9 through 12, so that has worked, but we have some children that are kind of in between. Youth validation age, I don't recommend using that section of the event at all. That gets really particular on your birth dates, and that has been an issue. You can do animal-based entries. So if you are doing a livestock day camp, and let's say they're going to bring their animal in to practice fitting and showing, you may want to do that. You have the option of selecting your start date, end date, and then you can add in your specific invoice instructions. So if more often than not, since we don't do any payments online, be sure to submit your payments to your county extension office. And then you add in your event contact information. So start date. Let's see, we're doing it. We're entering our dates. don't think I have. Okay. Didn't do a repeat option. All right. Let's say we're doing it at Copper Creek Campground. And okay, so once you enter in your basic information, I also add the location. Where it says add registration, this is where you get into the customization pieces of events. End date must be greater than the begin date. Okay. Oh. Typos. Okay, so add registration. This is where you get into your customization pieces. So if you apply a template, applying a template allows you to take the same type of questions that may be asked for an event. So there's Tri-County Livestock, Animal Lab Education Day. You know, you can, if it's a brand new event, you'll need to create your own fields, but I want to kind of show you, we'll use a line of questioning to where you can kind of see how this works. So your registration types, this is where you get into, you can add whether they're an adult or a youth, add in your title, you can add in when the start date and end date under the registration area, that's when they can register in the system. So as you're working through this, it's really important that you check those dates. And then, you know, if you've got it in a testing mode, a good final check is to make sure that the registration timeline is the same if it is the same window for your adults and youth, or you may have a different registration period for folks, but these dates dictate when folks can or cannot see it in the system. Then your registration fee, if there is one, you can enable a late registration fee. You can also use age divisions. So there's a lot of different options in here. In this example, we have 4-H members. So this is a youth registrant piece. They can register for the event starting June 3rd through the 17th. Unlimited, so in the maximum number of registrations, the system will keep a head count for you. So that's important to keep in mind. If you do set a head count and decide to test out your event with registrants in the demo county, those do add into your head count. So you have to adjust those numbers. Shanna and I had to find that out the hard way. But once you have that set, then you go ahead and click Save. And your custom fields are basically creating your document. This preview button gives you the ability to kind of look at what your document is going to look like. And it gives you the view of what the members will see without actually having to do the registration. So that's very handy. And then your custom fields, everything is tied to the group, so that's the first element. And then you have a lot of different options. You can do check boxes, radio buttons, you can do short answer type questions. So the custom field setup does get a little lengthy. That's where your development and testing pieces are really, that's kind of critical on that. But once you have that set up, if that's an annual event, your setup time is going to be incrementally that much quicker moving forward because you can apply a template. One thing with applying templates, let's say you do this event next year. If you apply that previous year's event, you want to make sure you check your dates because it carries forward all the registration dates, and you really have to just go through every screen to make sure everything reflects the current year. A cool part about event registration is your upload docs. So this is where you can import PDF files, like if you have maps, specific instructions. So like for KYG, I upload copy of the trial, their attire guidelines. There's a lot of different information in there. Doesn't mean they'll necessarily download it and read it, but it's another place to put your information. Especially, if you do that, follow it up with an email for their correspondence, or if you actually send a paper copy. But there's a lot of different options there, and it's definitely something to think about. One thing with the events, you need to have the emergency contact information. You need to be able to know if a child has special needs, be it if they have food allergies, if you're providing any meals or snacks. Being able to quickly compile all that information without having to reinvent the wheel does save some time. So, if you have questions or an event that you would like to perhaps look at doing something like that, don't hesitate to ask, and we can kind of work through that. But those options are open, they're working, and it's out there for you to use. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that. Any questions on events? I threw a lot at you, kind of did an overview on that, but wanted to kind of give you an idea of what's out there. How does the event registration work for you, Michelle? Because I noticed on the drop-down list you had a few.
Yeah, we've been doing our events on there, and it actually works really well. First time was getting everybody in there and getting them to use it, but once you got them trained, it was really simple and it's easy, and we can run a report. We know who's coming, we know what project they're in, or whatever the fields are that we're asking for. So we really like it.
All right. Awesome. Any questions? And see that we do have a couple other folks on that had joined once we started. Any issues might be happening, or?
Yeah, I have a question, Erica.
Sure.
We've had some leaders, they were project leaders, that can't get logged in to view the kids in their club. And I've given them the password for project leaders, and I thought that I had everything checked on, under, I think it's under enrollment, under options, where you can click to allow login under project leaders. And there's one specifically, she said she can't log in, and I don't know if it's operator error. I've tried everything I can think of, and so I didn't know if I'm doing something wrong, or how come she can't log in.
Okay.
And maybe that's just something that you can check, and we don't need to discuss it today, but I just didn't know if I had done something wrong, or I wasn't doing something correctly, or what the deal was.
What's the project?
It's a breeding sheep and market sheep.
Okay. Okay. So Round Valley, Amy?
Yeah.
Sheep market. Okay, so what I can do, yes, you have them checked. Oh, and one thing on her passwords, her project passwords are, they're project specific, basically.
Okay. When they log in as a project leader, can they see all the market sheet projects then, or do they just see the projects in their club?
They just see their club. So if they need to see everybody in the whole county, then you're going to want to check the county-wide. Do you want me to do that?
No, no.
Okay. Let me look at did she indicate if her email address has changed at all?
Mm-mm. No, she said that she's able to log in and that she can, just when she gets to that drop down menu or whatever where she clicks project leader or whatever, she said it doesn't work.
So before she clicks to continue to family, she has to select her name.
Yep.
Then she can select the project, and then she's got to override. Okay, so I think sheet breeding, I think, is 350 SHE. And those passwords are numeric, and they have to be all caps.
Yep.
And then click login.
Okay. It allows her to.
It does allow her to. She doesn't have any members.
Okay, can you check market real quick? Because there should be some on market. I don't know.
Okay, then let me go back and check. Okay, so 350 SHE is breeding market. So is she in?
Oh, she just being market. There you go.
200 SHE. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's working. She just needs to make sure she types in that password. If she does what's already defaulting in there, then that may be the reason.
Okay. That was kind of my indication because I thought we'd tried everything we could on our end, and I told her I'd talk to you at state office and maybe I don't know how to politely say it's operator error.
No, it's
for the 50th time.
Now, if she can log in to her account, then that email address, it should be fine. So that wouldn't be the issue. It's just she probably isn't typing in the password.
Okay.
Or
I just want to double.
If she transposes the password for the project too, that won't work.
Okay.
They're very finicky that way.
I just wanted to double check that it wasn't something on our end or 4-H Online. So, okay, thank you.
You bet. Good question. Any other? And that's a good point. So your project leaders can log in to see who's in their account, in their groups. It gives them project leaders information is a little condensed versus an organizational leader. It does provide them an ability to get an email list where they can copy everything, open up their regular email, and go that route to send emails. It gets them phone information. You can create custom reports so they can, or they don't actually have a reports option, I don't think, but they can get their kiddos information. If you have dual county kids, you may need to add or create a custom report for them so those other kids show in. And a big piece, and I can help you out with that, or the 4-H Online contacts can help with that too. Your organizational leaders get access to shared reports. They have a lot more information, but the same thing for them. To provide access for your organizational leaders to log in, that's under the club's icon.
Yep.
Project leaders is under that options piece. But they can definitely log into the system and get that information. And
all right. Appreciate it. I just want to make sure, like I said, that we were, everybody else seems to be doing all right. So I want to make sure that I didn't have unclicked or clicked something that I was supposed to. So.
Several counties have opened that, hadn't really opened that part of the system up for their leaders. I definitely encourage that. I have a copy of a little PowerPoint, kind of walks through the steps on that. And then a manager setup guide if you haven't done that. And then I also have a user guide for your families. So if you need that information, shoot me an email. I can get that to you. I think it's also on the staff help sheets page.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Well, I think we're set for today if there isn't anything else. Our next session will be on July 28th. That is the week after our normal date, since we do usually do these on the third Thursday, but statewide training or statewide staff retreat is in McCall that week. So we will be doing our July session on the 28th. But I hope y'all can make it next month. And thank you again for joining us, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks, Erica.
All right. Thanks, everybody.